Good Wednesday morning, caregivers. I'm Carol Howell with Let's Talk Dementia live on Facebook. And I'm glad you've chosen to join me today. While I am an internationally certified dementia practitioner, today I'm Vera's daughter. And that's the approach and that's the place I'm coming to you from. And that's where I'm always coming from anyway. Had a hospice worker tell me the other day, you need to quit being a practitioner and be a daughter. It's hard to be both sometimes when you're in the midst of what I'm going through. A special thanks to our sponsors, Life in the Carolinas. You can find them at www.lifeinthecarolinas.com. My computer's doing something really funny here. Life in the Carolinas, where it's never a bad day for a good story. I really do like that. And also, HD Imports. You can find them on Flint Street Extension in Rock Hill, South Carolina. And if you're anywhere near this area, it's worth the drive for the maintenance of your Honda, Kia, Toyota, Acura, or Hyundai. You can reach them at 803-985-0985 and do me a favor, tell them Carol sent you. That'll be good. They've been our mechanics for a long time. Nice people. Well, yesterday, day before yesterday, my mama was awake all day long. I am not kidding you. She would close her eyes, keep them closed for 10 seconds, and open her eyes. That was Mama. She mumbled. She said a few things. She kissed a few times. She looked at us a few times where we could see that she really was seeing us, not looking through us. You know, there is a difference. Yesterday, none of that. Yesterday, she slept all day long. We worked very hard to get her mouth, her teeth to part enough to put the vial of her Haldol in her mouth that keeps her comfortable. Mama's gritting. She's clamped down on those teeth. We tried getting her dentures out, and we decided somebody was going to lose a finger doing it, so we opted not to. Smart move, huh? But we did get her medicine in her, and that was it. She didn't say one word. Well, no, yesterday morning she told us she was in pain. That was it. And she slept and slept and slept and slept and slept. And I know that continued hours of sleep are signs of the end. I was told yesterday that Mama has been in this process of transitioning. That's the word hospice uses. It's kind of a funny word for me. Not sure I like it. But they didn't ask me, did they? Transitioning, moving from life unto death. And now she is no longer transitioning, she is actively dying. So I expected it could very easily have happened last night, but I really do think it's going to be today or tomorrow morning. And that's good. I'm good with that. You know, I've been spending a whole lot of time telling the Lord what he needs to do. Do you do that? Instead of being grateful and thankful and recognizing he is omnipotent and he's got plans, I tell him what to do. But I've got quite a peace now in my heart that at exactly the right minute, not a second before and not a second late, my mama will leave her body. And while that is very sad, it is very good news. I have been practicing this technique of when I think I'm going to cry, of putting my tongue on the roof of my mouth. Press really hard. It works, y'all. It'll cut it right off. So if all of a sudden I stop and go, you know, that's what I'm doing. So yesterday in the show, Elizabeth Hours wrote that she thinks it's interesting how the dying process is much like the birthing process. Now, Elizabeth's got a whole bunch of chitlins. I only have one. And she was born by C-section, although I did go through all the labor and tried really hard, but didn't work. So maybe my birthing experience is different from others. But I've often thought that there is a correlation there. So after she wrote that, I started gathering my thoughts on that. And in my little preview this morning, I said I was going to talk about that. Ms. Jean Lee of Alzheimer's Authors, alzauthors.com, check that out. She wrote me and said that a hospice nurse in her past had called the dying experience birthing of the soul. Oh, wow. Which sounds best to you? Dying or birthing of the soul? Man, do I feel lightness and happiness and joy thinking about my mama birthing her soul. Isn't that beautiful? I think it is. I'm going to talk about some correlations, though, between death and birth and how death mirrors birth, or the reverse, maybe birth mirrors death. First, you've got the waiting. You know, in the birth process, it takes 9 months of waiting for the end result. And in the dying process, it can take weeks or even months for that to happen. You know, actually, for our folks traveling the journey of Alzheimer's, this dying process has been going on for years. My mama was diagnosed in 2006. So at that minute, that dying process really ramped up some now that Alzheimer's was present. Well, let's face it, we're all dying every day, aren't we? The first signs of change happening within the body. Let's think about that. The birth process, the changes begin immediately. You know, the brain says, something's going on down there, and it floods the body with hormones, and these hormones do the job they're supposed to do, and that baby grows and the body changes. Soon, you begin to have outward manifestations that life is going on inside, right? And in the death process, the body begins to change, days or months or years, and it's very slow sometimes, but those changes in the body happen, and we begin to see them. After a while, we see the skin start to change, we see colors start to change, we see respiration start to change. And if you're like my mama, you sleep a lot, and she can no longer move any of her extremities. The body changes. Breathing begins to change. You know, if you are around my age when Lamaze became so popular, all that panting and breathing and focal points, I don't know. I tried that really, really hard, and I was really not good at it, and I was really happy to have a epidural. But our breathing does change, and we know that breathing, that kind of breathing calms the body, it calms the nerves, it relaxes everything, it helps to reduce pain. We know this. That's a big part of what yoga is. And so breathing is important in that birthing process. Those short bursts of breathing can help control the pain, the deep inhales, the periods of holding the breath and pushing. It's all part of that birthing process. And then afterwards, the breathing returns to normal once the baby is born. And in the dying process, the breathing, it changes too. It becomes labored for lots of reasons. It definitely is for mama. And we notice short bursts of breathing followed by periods of not breathing, followed by large inhales. And that period of holding the breath becomes longer and longer and longer until we pass away. For some people, the birthing process is slow, takes hours. And for some people, the birthing process just happens very quickly, you know, in the back seat of the car on the way to the hospital. The birthing process can be different. The birthing canal begins to open little by little, and the process begins, and the baby is born. But for some folks, the birthing process takes hours, and it's very slow for that birth canal to start doing its thing. You know, that's similar to dying too. I wonder if my mama, as she for the last 2 weeks has been in this process of dying, if she's seen the gates of heaven open just a little bit more each day. I mean, a literal seeing it. But for other folks, maybe those gates just swing wide open and they just enter. I don't know. What do you think? While we're going through the birth process, we want our husband or our mother or whomever beside us, cheering us on, wiping away the sweat, offering sips of water, telling us, you're doing good, keep on, you're doing great, it's going to be good, you're having a baby. You know, that's what we want. It's very similar to the death process when you think about it. We want our families beside us. We want friends offering kind words of comfort, wiping away the sweat, offering the sips of water, telling us it's all going to be great. You've done good things. It's okay if you let go. Go to heaven. You deserve it. It's going to be all right. We want those things. The birthing process also brings excitement and awe and wonder at the new life that's just been brought into the world. The unknowns of how it all happened are just flooding in our mind. The unknowns of what the future will be for the new parents and the new baby. All those unknowns. It's part of the experience. What will this baby turn out to be? Am I going to be a good parent? Lots of unknowns. In the dying experience, the dying process, we experience the sadness and awe and wonder there also at the new life our loved one is now experiencing. At that birthing of the soul, we experience the beginnings of that labor to cause that to happen. And then that experience happens, and they leave us in the unknowns for us of how it all happened. How did they leave? How did they make that transition? How did they leave this earthly form, this clay, this bone that held the soul? How did it get out? How did it make it to heaven? How can it be true that the scripture says, absent from the body, yet present with the Lord? No downtime, no intermediate time where we wait for that. It just happens. How did that happen? It's as mysterious as that process of how did that baby go from being content inside the womb to now needing out. It's got to get out. It's got to leave the confines that it's in. And that's what we do. That soul has got to leave. And it transitions. It makes that journey onward. And the unknowns for what the future will be for the parents and the new baby are part of that experience. And the unknowns of what the future will be for us as the family and the friends. It's part of our experience. You know, I think I know what my future looks like after Mama passes. We've had plans for, 2 years to move to Florida when Mama passes. We bought a house a year ago, and we love it there. We think we know the future. We don't, and neither do you. But you know, in that process of birth, where we didn't know the future of that child that we were birthing, we had to trust. We had to do the best we could do and trust a whole bunch that we weren't going to mess up as parents, that our kids were going to turn out good, but trust more so that God had our kids and God had us through the process. It's the same for me today. I'm trusting that God's got Mama. I know He's got her. I know He's got her, y'all. And I know that in that process that He's got me and my sisters and my husband and the grandchildren, friends. Mama's not going to need us. That's for sure. That's pretty cool, isn't it? Brings a little comfort to me. I don't know what you're going through in your world. If you're watching someone pass, just think about that they're not dying. They are birthing their soul. Birthing their soul. As I have said, winging their way to heaven. Hope that brings you comfort. It does me. Thank you to our sponsors, HD Imports. You can reach them at 803-985-0985 and Life in the Carolinas. Find them on YouTube at Life in the Carolinas and also at lifeinthecarolinas.com. I had to stop and think a minute. It didn't come out right. Our scripture until my mama passes on and births her soul, Romans 8:28. For we know that all things work together for good to those that love God, to those that are the called according to His purpose. I love that verse. And in answer to my wonderful viewer Celia's question, she said she really liked my makeup and did I have someone who did it for me. Isn't that hilarious? Oh yes, I am so important that I have someone come in and put on my makeup every day. Oh, it is. You should watch me put on makeup. It would crack you up. But she wanted to know what kind I wear. And my eye makeup is Mary Kay. And I will post a contact number for Cassandra Hartke in Fort Mill. And you can go get your makeup done for free. Just something that's got nothing to do with dementia to end my show. Hope to see you guys tomorrow. Blessings and smiles on your day. Bye.